Okay, so today we're going to talk about something most of us think we have a handle on fasting. But what if I told you that the whole test of willpower thing might be missing the entire point? Let's dive in. I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. When I say the word fasting, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's about giving something up, right? And yeah, that totally makes sense as a starting point. Whether it's cutting out food or taking a break from social media or kicking a bad habit, we tend to frame fasting as this personal sacrifice. It's all about what we give up. But here's the twist. What if that intense focus on our own self-denial is actually distracting us from what fasting is really all about? There's this ancient text, a voice from the prophet Isaiah, that throws down a powerful and honestly pretty surprising challenge to that whole idea. So, this brings us to our first big idea, Isaiah's takedown of what you might call empty fasting. See, he looked around and saw this massive disconnect between the ritual people were doing and how they were actually, living. So, picture this. Isaiah is watching people, they're doing all the fasting stuff, going through the motions, but at the exact same time, they're turning a blind eye to injustice. They're exploiting their workers. And he just poses this knockout question, basically asking, is this what you think this is about? Just a day to make yourself feel miserable?
And that right there gets to the absolute core of the problem he's pointing out. Empty fasting. It's just a ritual in a bubble. It's all about what you're denying yourself with zero outward change. It's like checking a box on a to-do list, totally disconnected from any real change of heart, or, more importantly, any action for other people.
Okay, so that naturally leads us to the big question, right? If that's empty fasting, then what in the world is true fasting? What does it actually look like? Well, Isaiah doesn't just tear down the old idea. He builds up something new. And it's a powerful, pretty radical alternative. He completely flips the script on fasting. He shifts it away from just self-denial and turns it into a direct, hands-on call to justice. Just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got empty fasting. The focus is all inward, right? It's about my sacrifice. But then look at true fasting. The focus is completely outward, on what other people need. It's not some isolated ritual anymore. It becomes this integrated act of mercy. And this is the absolute key. The whole thing shifts from simply not doing something to actively doing something. And Isaiah doesn't leave it vague either. He gets super specific. He says, true fasting is this. First, to loosen the bonds of injustice. That means getting your hands dirty, working to take apart the systems that actually hurt people. Second, to free the oppressed. I mean, that's a direct command to stand with people who are trapped. And third, to share with the needy. That's the really tangible part, giving your food, your money, your time. So, you see the massive shift? Fasting, in this view, has nothing to do with proving how spiritually tough you are. It's a practice designed to soften your heart, to actually move you to get up and do something. It transforms you into an instrument of mercy and justice. But, believe it or not, the story doesn't even stop there. Fast forward a few centuries, and Jesus comes along and adds this whole other layer to it, a deeply personal, relational one. Let's see how he builds on what Isaiah started. So, at one point, people come up to Jesus and ask him, hey, how come your disciples don't fast? And he doesn't shoot the idea down at all. Instead, he completely reframes it, and he ties it directly to himself, to his own presence. He uses this incredible metaphor. He calls himself the bridegroom, and he says, look, you don't fast at a wedding celebration when the groom is right there with you. That's a time to celebrate. But, he says, a time is coming when the bridegroom will be taken away. And that absence he's talking about, that's understood to be the time of his passion, his suffering, and death. So all of a sudden, fasting gets this whole new meaning. It becomes an act of solidarity, an act of remembrance. It's a way to physically, tangibly connect with the suffering of the person you're following. It's not just about justice in the abstract anymore. Now it's personal. Okay, so how do we put these two massive ideas together? You've got Isaiah's call for justice on one hand, and Jesus' call for this personal remembrance on the other. Well, they actually merge perfectly into one profound idea: fasting as solidarity. And this is where the rubber really meets the road, especially during a time like Lent. The whole point isn't just to give something up for the sake of it. The goal is to take that feeling, that little pang of hunger or want, and let it foster real compassion inside you. It's meant to build a bridge, a feeling of solidarity between our tiny, temporary discomfort, and the very real daily suffering of others. Our personal sacrifice only finds its true meaning when it connects us to a love for the poor. There's this line from a prayer that just nails it. It says, "May our sacrifices unite us to your love for the poor." You see, the sacrifice itself isn't the point. The point is what that sacrifice does to our hearts, what it does for other people. It's a tool, really, to connect us to a love that is always moving toward people who are in need. And so that leaves us with this one final question to chew on. It's so easy to think that giving up, I don't know, chocolate or coffee is totally insignificant, right? But what if that small act, that tiny sacrifice, is the very thing that opens our eyes to what someone else is going through? What if it's the thing that prompts us to give or to serve or to speak up? Then how could those small sacrifices start to create really big changes? Something to think about.